should accept that it's not. Hello, are you here to debate?
Yes, yes, I am.
All right, what's your name, age, and pronouns?
Tallulah, my age is 22. I use she, her pronouns.
All right, and what are you here to talk about?
Uh, I'd like to talk about the point you have. Men want maids, mothers, and nannies, not wives.
Okay.
First thing I want to start with is how do you define a wife?
I would define a wife as an equal partner in a relationship who you get tax benefits off of being with.
Okay. Okay, so in your worldview, marriage is just kind of like a tax thing.
Marriage, in my worldview, marriage kind of only exists as a with like legal benefits. I don't really care if you're just there to like proclaim your love. Like you don't need marriage to do that, right? So marriage would just be like a legal agreement that binds two people. But when we're talking about like what wife means in the social sense, I believe it would mean like an equal partner whom you share a life with.
Okay, yeah, I can definitely agree with that, but really, I'm just trying to think here, trying to figure out kind of where your stance is and compare it to where my stance is. So, I mean, while yes, I do agree that marriage isn't necessarily necessary to profess love, I do believe that in the society in which we live, it is kind of a somewhat important kind of thing socially,
Why?
at least for some. And
Wait,
anyway,
can I just ask you why?
oh, why? Well, different people have kind of different outlooks on life, and I know some people, uh, personally, that all they want to do is get married, have a nice little family, you know.
Okay, but like I'm confused. What's your contention with the actual point?
Um, my contention with the actual point is very cliche. It's basically just a not all men.
You're not all mending me right now.
Yeah, yeah, I am.
Let me just ask you, do you know what the average division of labor is in a household between men and women?
I can't say that I do, if I'm gonna be honest.
Right. So the average woman engages in about 49 minutes of household chores per day, while the average man engages in about 19 minutes of household chores per day. Do you think this would be an even distribution of labor?
That for me to say that it would depend on kind of like who's doing what.
I'm sorry.
Like
I'm sorry.
like
Depends on who's doing what. If the minutes are distributed differently. So if I
with
do
household
49 minutes
chores.
of chores and you only do 19 minutes of chores, you could potentially be doing more chores than me.
No, no.
Okay.
But also there we do unfortunately live in a capitalist society in which money is necessary for survival. So if say someone's working full time and someone else is working part time, and using that the 19 minutes and what was it, 43 minutes you said?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So let's say the person doing 19 minutes is working full time, 40 hours a week, and the person doing 19 minutes at that 43 minutes of chores is working part time, let's say 25 hours a week. I would say that that's a relatively fair
Okay, we can easily I
exchange.
can we can easily counter I can easily counter this with the fact that when we look at even in households where women are the breadwinners, they engage in 3.6 times more household labor than the husband does. Even if they are the ones earning the predominant amount of money in the household and they're the ones working the most. So if these are the averages, why would that make me believe that men want wives? I say on average men don't want wives, right? So why would I not all men that shit? Like that's just like why is it that people only give a shit about like using the phrase all when it's like against a group they want to protect, right? Like if I were to say to you, "Oh, dogs are cute." You wouldn't stop me and go, "Well, not all dogs are cute." Right? You wouldn't do that. You'd just be like, "Yeah, dogs are cute." Yeah. On like typically when we see a dog on average, those dogs are cute.
Yeah, but with that, I'd say that that's kind of saying a positive thing generally versus a negative thing generally.
Yeah, but
And
if the negative is typical of the group, why wouldn't I? If men who get into relationships on average do not contribute evenly to household labor and child rearing, why would I not call them out as a whole?
yeah, I can see where he's coming from.
Like
Um,
how can we address the issue, like the social issue of this, if we don't if we don't fucking talk about it as the group as a whole? How can we address the issue? All you're gonna do is you're gonna have men who would try to address the issue with go, well, that's not me, right? It's not all men. Like I'm a
I
man.
think
Do
that
you think I get mad
if you
when
need,
people talk shit about men? No, I recognize that men as a social group have historically oppressed and been in a position of power over women, and part of that oppression comes with the untoward division of labor in the household.
if this is an issue that needs to be resolved, I think it needs to start with the children. The children are going to be the future. What they learn is going to be how society progresses.
What?
So the argument is about the division of labor in the household at this point.
How are we going
I
to? But
think
wait,
that
how are we going to fix it with the children? Also, there's a little lag, so I'm sorry. I don't mean to be cutting you off. I try to talk when you're not speaking, but there's just a slight lag there. But like, how do we address it with the
yeah,
children if we haven't addressed it with the men who raise the children?
it's a collaborative effort between schools, um, the people in the children's lives, um, that sort of thing. Where because if we don't do anything, the problem is going to continue, which we
Wait, yeah,
both
but we would
agree
need
is
to start with the
not
men
a
who
good
are
thing.
doing this. We can't change it on a societal level if we don't stop the men who are engaging in this practice. Right? All the men are going to do is they're going to raise their sons to continue to be domineering, and they're going to raise their daughters to continue to be submissive. That's all that's going to keep happening.
Yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that. I,
Okay.
I'm trying to think, but really, I mean, being an activist in a lot of different things, like queer rights, women's rights, this, that, and the other. What I find is a lot of the time the people that are problematic do not wish to change. They are. It falls on deaf ears. So I don't see how addressing it with people who are not open-minded, who trying to re-educate, it's just going to fall on deaf ears. I personally view that as a waste of time and resources.
I need to tell you something. Okay. I need to tell you, I need to just be completely honest with you. You cannot be an advocate for women if you don't recognize the oppression that women face in the household. If you actively argue against that by going not all men, you can't not all your way out of oppression, right? When we talk about like engaging in or like for an example, when black people talk about liberating themselves from white supremacy, they don't do it by going, but it's not all white people that are hurting us. No, we talk about whiteness as a whole. So when we talk about liberating women from like their oppression, especially domestically, it's not about, oh well, it's not all men. Well, no, men as a social group are the ones who have been oppressing women since as long as we can remember. So no, we need to worry. We need to be focused on this as on like an entire system standpoint, and we can't not all men our way out of this.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I just still don't understand. Well, not that I don't understand. It's just I still don't see how trying to re-educate a group of people who are closed-minded, refuse to want to be educated. I don't see how that's a valuable uh, expenditure of time and resources.
Wait, but you haven't talked about re-educating the people that are doing this. You talked about like the way we raise children, which is not wrong. We obviously need to raise children differently, right? Because children become the adults that do this. But the re-education needs to be on the men that are doing these things, right? When a man has a wife and he refuses to let her have a bank account, right? Because he needs to be in control of all the money. This is a form of abuse. When a man has a wife and she has to take care of the kids all day and cook dinner, and when he gets home, he gets to put his feet up and he's like, well, I've worked all day, and he doesn't recognize the labor that she's been doing and the work she's been doing at the home. This is a form of abuse, right? Especially if this is like an unconsensual split. It's one thing if the woman goes, hey, listen, I want to stay home and do all of this. This is the life I want to live. But there's a plethora of men who just force their spouses into this system.
I got you. I guess I never really personally experienced something like that. A little bit about my background. My dad was the sole provider. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. She chose to stay at home. So
I,
I
I
guess I
just
just
want I
gotta
just
think
want to
a
point
little
out that
differently.
even women who choose to stay home, there is still an unequal distribution of labor here. Because when the man gets home from work, he will typically put his feet up and he is done for the day. Meanwhile, she has to keep going until the kids are asleep and he's asleep. This is the unequal distribution, and whether or not you realize it or not, even in your own relationship, right? This can still be a form of abuse, right? An unequal distribution of labor is a form of abuse.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
And I would just say when it comes to whether or not you've heard something, I would talk to any woman that's experienced, like, oh, god damn it, I talk to nearly any woman that's had relationships, right? Any woman that's had relationships, and she's gonna tell you about relationships where especially if they've been long term and they've lived together, if there was a form of abuse, they're gonna tell you all the same things that I'm telling you.
Yeah, that's fair. That's understandable, and I see where you're coming from. I was just trying to kind of get a different perspective other than my own. That's why I called in.
Okay, no problem.
But yeah, I appreciate you. I'm gonna jump back in the stream now.
All right, you
All
have a good
right,
one.
bye bye.